having grown up in the Midwest, I think about the writers who influenced me when I was young. Most of them were Midwest writers. You know, I remember reading Sherwood Anderson, who lived for a while in the same county I grew up in. And so I was quite fascinated with what he was doing with Winesburg, Ohio. What used to be called regionalism, I think, has been replaced by sort of geographic areaism. And those boundaries are so fluid. I mean, if a person is born and grows up here but goes on and has a career somewhere else, are they really rooted in the Midwest as a writer? Some yes, some no. And the same thing's true for people who arrive here and then have careers here. Because so many writers now are associated with universities, and because academics very rarely are able to find positions where they grew up. There's a lot of movement. And so you get this really interesting cultural mix most places among writers that may be different, and among academics, that I think is different than the larger population. I mean, what does that mean to be Midwest? Well, it places you right away as a centrist. Geographically, you're a centrist. But it doesn't mean you have to be a centrist, but it means that the construct and the values that you have around you are not extreme. Not extreme. They're going to be, and I don't want to say, white bread, but there is something about the states in the Midwest that have a feel of being kind of similar. Look at Ohio. We're the north coast of the country. It's a Great Lakes culture, the whole history of that. When that was the great highway, one of the great highways. The other great highway was the Ohio River. So the flux and flow that brought people and then kind of distilled and settled here is really interesting. What I think it brings, though, is in some ways kind of a fusion of the old New England work ethic, which comes into the northeast part of Ohio more than anywhere else, and a kind of a genteel, rooted in the land value that comes up from the south originally through the Cumberland Gap as Ohio was settled. And I think that carries over into the other Midwest states too. So there's kind of a sense of, we like being rooted, we think if we work we should get a reward for that. If you take care of the land and handle it and treat it well, it will serve you well and grow. But we were once the breadbasket, and we sort of still are. I mean, but now a lot of that's been replaced by chicken farms and hog farms and commercial stuff.